Now we turn again to our partner region, Latin America. Latin America is also undergoing a transformation. Many countries in the region are making the transition to a new generation of sustainable plastics. Let's listen to what opportunities, challenges, and hurdles there are to overcome in the process. Arturo Madero, COO and co-founder of ISOI, and Esteban Guzman, the commercial director at Cardia Bioplastics, give us an informative outlook and insight into the current market situation in the region. Now, of course, a question to Peter first. Peter, not all countries in Latin America are making the change at the same pace. How do you see the opportunities for biopolymers for this region?
Yeah, my experience is that there are mainly two reasons why people are getting into biopolymers. First, the request from customers that don't want to buy a biological shampoo or cream in an ordinary plastic bottle. And secondly, politicians don't want to be claimed responsible for huge garbage mountains and make laws in favor of biodegradable plastics. As South America consists out of many different states, like Europe, there are big urban areas and vast rural regions. There are for sure different opinions and ways to go ahead. I believe there's a good potential since all countries have a big agricultural sector, and it is an additional possibilities to produce a high value product out of the residual biomass. One thing is clear, a good and effective packaging is a part of the food, an absolute essential one.
So I agree.
So thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I am pleased to turn the floor over to Arturo Madero and Esteban Guzman. They will tell us more about the topic. Enjoy the film.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to us in this Biopolymer Congress. I am Arturo Madero. I am VP of Operations of ISOI. We're going to talk about the context of the Latin American market for biopolymers, but first I'm going to introduce a little bit of who we are and what we do. In ISOI, which stands for Infinite Source of Ideas, we're focused on accelerating society's transition towards sustainable practices through new technologies. Now, we've been doing this for over 4 years, but about 3 years ago, we had the fortune to meet with the people at Seco's Group. Now, Seco's Group is an Australian group. They're focused on developing sustainable materials, and they focus primarily on compostable technology for flexible packaging. Inside of Seco's group, there is a vertical integration of the production of raw materials, namely resins, for bioplastics, but they'll also have the production of films and finished products. Now, our main line of business and for the development of the regional market of bioplastics, we use the brand Cardia Bioplastics, which is a resin division of Seco's Group Sustainable Materials. Instead of Cardia Bioplastics, we have two main lines of business. The first one, and what we would call the flagship technology, is our compostable materials. We are mainly focused on flexible packaging, so we are proud to say that we are one of the highest standards and certifications for compostable flexible packaging materials. These materials have a high bio-based content from 33 up to 40%, and we are mainly composed of thermoplastic cornstarch and biodegradable polyesters. An added benefit with which we are going to talk later on, talking about regulations in Latin America, is home compostability. We have a very thick gauge up to which we are certified in Australia and in France for home compostability. The other technology that Cardia Bioplastics handles on its line of products is what we call the biohybrid technology. Now, the biohybrid is not a compostable or biodegradable technology, but it's a technology based on a mix of thermoplastic cornstarch and polyethylene. The benefit of this mix is that it has a great carbon reduction depending on the percentage at which this material is added to a mixture of polypropylene or polyethylene, and it adds the value of up to 66% of renewable content. This grade of resin is compatible with more complex applications than the compostable. It can also be used for flexible packaging, but it can also be used for others such as shrink film or injection molding. I must say that it's important to note that products made with biohybrid technology also maintain their recyclability, which keeps them in the loop for the circular economy, which is, what's most important in all of these new sustainable materials. Now, we are very comfortable working with these materials and with Cardia because these materials have very easy to perceive advantages that we have found in the market. First of all, we are compatible with a very wide range of applications. So we have been developing a very wide range of products, from simple products like bags, supermarket bags, retail bags, etc., to complex applications such as zipper. We have stand-up pouches, and we have laminations with other compostable materials that are certified for food packaging and also have very good barrier properties, and others such as, for example, mesh for fruits and vegetables, etc. Another benefit that we offer for customers through our materials is that we make sure that the materials that we use and the starch that we source are ethically and sustainably sourced. We are a material that is direct use, so there's no need for additives into the mix, and that's the way in which we can guarantee the compostability and extend the certificates of compostability to the products that our customers produce. And I think that I already said that, but we are proud to say that we are versatile for multiple applications. Between Isoy and Cardia, we have the facility to supply a wider market than we could have done some years ago. Fortunately, as we all know here, the bioplastics market has had significant growth lately. So Cardia Bioplastics, although it is an Australian company, it has production facilities in Malaysia and China. That gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of supplying the rest of the world, because as we know, supply chain problems currently are a bit complex. So this has allowed us to tackle some challenges. And through ISO's infrastructure and distribution partnerships, we have been able to develop very good applications from Mexico and the United States, but also have been able to scale them through Latin America to some other countries such as Colombia, Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, and Peru, as they are depicted in the map. Before jumping into legislation, I would just like to say that we as ISOI are also co-founders of the Mexican Bioplastics Association. This is an institution through which we are focusing on adopting best practices that the rest of the world already has in place for the correct use of these new materials and their introduction into the markets. And we want to ensure that there is a correct adoption all through Latin America. We are starting in Mexico, but we are expanding very fast, very quickly, such as a market for other countries in Latin America. Now, with that context already in place, I would like to introduce you to my partner at ISOI, Esteban Guzman. He is going to give a little bit more context about the current situation on the market of Latin America on bioplastics.
As Arturo just mentioned, we have decided to play the game called Compostable Bioplastics in Latin America. Therefore, it's very important to understand what are the rules of the game that we're going to be playing. And it's important to take a regional approach to this question. I think it's very interesting to understand how the first international dominoes have fallen in terms of a plastics regulation, and specifically in our region, in Latin America, you can see that this transition is already underway. There is a country-by-country difference to the degree as to the implementation and regulation adoption regarding the plastics phase-out policy that has been happening. However, we have some very clear success cases in the region. Three that I would like to mention is actually Chile, Mexico, and Costa Rica. But I would like to go more in depth in specifically one. In our regional market, that is Mexico. In that sense, something that has been great in this market is that it has been understood that there's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's already very successful international standards that set out the base framework for legislation in terms of compostables. The main question to be answered when we're talking about policy regarding plastics and compostables, a transition to a new generation of sustainable plastics, is how can we define properly what will be called a compostable plastic, right? In that sense, the ISO 17088 has been very useful internationally through many years now as a base reference for this legislation. We have seen regions, important regions, who are much more avant-garde in this sense, such as the USA or Europe, take this international standard and adopt it to its local technical standard or norm. In that case, Mexico was able to understand how the success cases of, for example, ASTM 6400 in the United States and EN 13432 could serve as the very useful and base reference for what needed to be applied here in Mexico. This was, from an industrial point of view, very helpful and very useful because it's in a moment in time where we want to make sure that what we call and the players that are allowed into the game are actually valid players who have the real value proposition that this next generation is actually looking for. So Mexico successfully developed and has introduced the NMX E273, which is the local norm for compostables. And it's I would say, the most successful case so far in Latin America, along with Chile, to an adoption of an international standard being tropicalized into a local norm and then being deployed through national instruments that can enable the monitoring and then also the enforcing of these regulations. It's very important that Latin American countries have this internal framework because that allows our region to be less dependent on international references while also taking in the best international practices. Particularly in Mexico, this compostables norm, has allowed the market to grow in an orderly fashion because it has given a very clear outline as to which criteria has to be met with to be called a certified material, and also give the traceability to the whole value chain so that the final customer can see which raw material is actually being used in their products. There is an organism in Mexico called MICE, which is very, very important for this particular scenario because through both of their, I would say, departments, they were able to work up the technical norm and also through their laboratories provide a national certifying body that is actually the only authorized testing and certification body valid in Mexico to test for compostability. So the development of this norm represents a very important milestone because it serves not only as the first reference in legislation regarding the sustainable packaging, but also as a reference for the rest of Latin America. It's very interesting also to mention that when we talk about bioplastics, or in this case specifically compostables, we have to consider the end-of-life scenarios for these products, right? The legislation was made up in a way where we take into account the possible end-of-life scenarios that are feasible in the Mexican scene with its current infrastructure, and that we take into account the existing technology so that we can make sure that A meets B. In this case, we're focusing mostly on the organic recycling side of things. And it's very important also now to mention how compostables and bioplastics in general fit into the circularity strategy that a country specifically like Mexico in the region where we are it actually makes sense. So I want to make reference to a publication that was very recently launched by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. And that's where they mentioned the recommendation for compostable technologies for specific geographies of particular water relevance. This is quite an interesting title. But I think that what they're trying to mention there is how, depending on the level of waste management maturity that a specific region may have, what is the best way to address certain the end of life scenarios for compostable packaging. When we're talking about Latin America, we have to be very honest in this sense and mention that there is a huge disparity between the installed infrastructure for waste management and the technical solutions available out there. So we could be defined as a geography with a high volume of mismanaged packaging waste and limited access to waste management systems. In that case, that would place us in the geographic archetype number 3 in the chart below. For such case, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation recommends that since composting infrastructure anyway needs to be developed for food and organic waste, there should be an opportunity to develop one system rather than two. Therefore, a viable and feasible solution for that high volume of mismanaged packaging waste generated in the area is recommended to go to home compostable materials. This is a very interesting approach because it's actually the first time that the Ellen MacArthur Foundation has mentioned compostability and flexible packaging as a feasible solution for the waste management generation in such regions. In that case, we're very content to hear that because we understand how the legislation in the region is moving towards those sort of solutions, how the technology and the industry is approaching the region as well, and how this criteria is already being considered from the very moment that the commercial solutions are arriving to these different countries. So in that case, it makes a lot of sense from the circularity and the theoretical point of view that we have these solutions and that we focus on this area, because not only is there a huge potential of manufacturing power, but also a lot of technological expertise regarding how to convert this material into high-value products. So on behalf of Arturo and myself, I would like to say that we understand the trend that Latin America is following regarding legislation. We trust that this trend will lead to a healthy market, and Arturo and I are always open through our contacts to answer any questions or comments that may come up from this conference. Thank you very much for your time.
We would like to welcome our both speakers from Latin America, Arturo Madero and Esteban Guzman. A warm welcome. A few questions from the chat, and the first technical question goes to Peter. Yeah. You would like to ask you something?
I'm the more technical person here. So, hello to you in Mexico. Yeah, the first question is, can Cardia bioplastics be used in thermoforming?
The technology that we have available at the moment is designed specifically for flexible packaging. That is an opportunity that we see that can really help consolidate the market at first, specifically considering the way that the Latin American packaging industry is transitioning to flexible technologies. We do not have a thermoforming grade at the moment.
What do you mean with a flexible packaging? Is it then a film, or is it extrusion?
Materials made for blown film, cast film, for laminations.
Okay. Do you supply the granules, or do you right away supply the film?
We sell the resin. We sell the granules.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So Cardia, as we mentioned in the video, we also have the capacity to produce film, but we are focusing on the granule. So Cardia Bioplastics is a resin division of Seco's group, and we're focusing on that because we want to kickstart that converting industry in Latin America.
Okay.
And this is how we can, facilitate the vertical supply chains all the way from the bottom.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the next question I received from the audience is, are all your starch compounds recyclable?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes, are all your starch compounds recyclable? Starch compounds.
Well, we have two technologies. One is recyclable with polyethylene, and the other one is fully biodegradable and compostable. That's our main lines of business.
So I have the next question. Is the PE and the PP new raw material or recycling material that you use for the biohybrid?
So we don't use PP with biohybrid. We use PE. We mentioned PP because it can be mixed with PP, both recycled or virgin. The same goes for PE, but the PE that we use. So PE has about a third of the composition of biohybrid, and that's why we can mitigate, up to 66% of bio-based content in the mix for biohybrid. And the PE that goes into that mix is first generation.
Okay.
It's virgin. There's an opportunity there for sure.
Great.
So this is also the next question is already answered. The next question was, what is the minimum of the bio content? So as far as I understand, it is 6 to 8%, was it?
Well, it depends. On our compostable grade, it's between 30 to 40%.
30 to 40.
And in the biohybrid grade, which is a recyclable grade, it depends on the level of the mix. So this biohybrid resin is designed to be put anywhere between 1% in a mix to around 50%. If it's put all the way like 50%, for example, we've had some really good products made of 50% polypropylene and 50% our biohybrid technology. And in that case, the biomass portion that we are putting into the product, it's around 33% of the finished product.
Okay. Okay. So
Good.
the next question, do you want to do it?
Yes, why not? How does the industrial composting work in Latin America?
I would say that we could say that industrial composting is pretty much a commercial compost at an industrial level. It's not very technified. However, many of them are very functional, also considering the surrounding environment conditions, high humidity, high heat. So there's many municipal and commercial composts. However, we do not have the level of systems or technology that are available in Europe. That's a given.
And that's somewhere where home compostability is really a value add for the region, because the conditions under which a compost will behave over here will vary more significantly, because as Esteban was saying, there is still a huge area of opportunity on the development of industrial composting facilities in the region.
Yeah, but you can find very big composting facilities very close to the big cities in Latin America. That's for sure. In Mexico City, we have Bordo Poniente, which has the capacity to process up to half of the total waste generated by Mexico, which just happens to be that a half of that is actually organic. It has a huge extension of land and a lot of people working there. It's just a matter of coordinating the whole system so that it can actually receive and process all the waste generated.
Yeah, and we could get even deeper into details, but because we went there and we noticed that, and people told us that there is about a 10 to 15% plastic pollution there. So that's where we started to build our business case for the home compostable technology. But I guess that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, but this could be maybe an opportunity for German composters to cooperate with you to increase the capacity and the knowledge in Mexico. Yeah? Why not?
Most definitely, most definitely. If there's any composters, German composters, and hearing us, we would be welcome to yeah, speak and to know each other.
So maybe one of our viewers is in the composting industry in Europe. He should send us an email, and then we will forward it to you.
Yes, we would be happy to do so. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the interesting discussion.
Yeah. Thank you. And we keep in contact. And I think Latin America will be an issue and topic also in the following biopolymer congresses. So yeah, we should stay in touch.
Yes, and
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and yes, all the best to you.